Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to have you please stand and show us your greatest North Carolina National PE Institute welcome to all the folks that are...
Hello, this is STACEY MILLETT, Executive Director of the North Carolina Center for Health and Wellness, anchored here at the University of North Carolina, Asheville. I am thrilled to welcome you to the live stream of the keynote address for the National Physical Education Institute. Enjoy.
Very, very special visitor. STACEY.
Thank you very much, Artie. I just have a few remarks. I just want to say on behalf of the North Carolina Center for Health and Wellness, we are thrilled that you are all here. I am the new executive director, started 1 month ago, but have had the pleasure of meeting Artie, and I just remember my fond days of PE. I grew up in New York City, and I used to play in this big playground, and Marisols would bring out the balls and the basketballs and the jump rope. My favorite was capture the flag. You could use your imagination, and it was just great. And I think that experience and those experiences have really followed me in my life. I'm a marathon runner. I've done over 50 of them, run Boston, so I really credit it. I credit a lot of that to the so much of what all of you do. And I also want to say that our center is so focused on, you hear that word, healthy weight for young children. And you are such a lifeline and a link to that work. And around the country, around the world, and here in our state in North Carolina, creating those opportunities for children to develop lifelong enjoyment of being active in movement. So I am very happy to have the honor of introducing our chancellor. She's been here more than 1 month, but she has joined us early this year. Chancellor Mary Grant hails from Massachusetts. I've had the honor several times to meet with her and work with her, and she is such a treasure to our university, and she is thrilled to be here, and we are thrilled to have her. Thank you.
Thank you, STACEY. Thank you, Artie. Welcome, everyone. My office is just up the road a little bit on campus, and I was running late, so I almost drove down, but I thought that just would go over badly. You know, this is a PE group of experts. But thank you for the work that you do. We are the University of North Carolina, Asheville, and we are the state of North Carolina's designated public liberal arts university. And I say that for a reason, because when we think about the liberal arts here at UNCA, we think about it as integrating and moving forward a whole person. It's about the life of the mind. It's about how you connect with your communities. It's about how you engage physically, mentally, and emotionally. So the fact that you are here doing this important work is really quite fitting with the mission of this school. So I thank you for being here. I also thank you for the work that you do, because as educators, you really are doing the most important work that any of us can be doing. And I know that there's a place in heaven for anyone who's ever taught a kid like me, or any of the children that you have, or the work that you do as ed administrators in this field. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you do. It is critically important. As STACEY said, I come from Massachusetts. I've been chancellor here since January. So I'm a little bit more of an old pro than STACEY, but where I come from, Massachusetts, which was birthplace of John F. Kennedy, I'm reminded of something President Kennedy said when he was trying to move the country forward and paying attention to physical fitness. And he said that physical fitness is not only one of the most important keys to a healthy body, it is the basis of dynamic and creative intellectual activity. And those words ring true today, even though they were words that he uttered many, many years ago. And as you think about the work that you're doing, looking at the way technology can connect you and influence the way, or you can use technology as a tool, I'm amazed. Everywhere I look, there's somebody has a Fitbit. I'm feeling like the kid left out. I need to get a Fitbit, or the iWatch, or apps to keep us on track. They all help in a busy, connected world that we're in. So thank you for wrestling with how technology is not a replacement for connectivity in physical well-being or emotional well-being. It's a way to add to and enhance the work that we're already doing. So I thank you for that. And I'm so honored to have such a distinguished group of experts here, to have all of you here, to have our keynote speakers that have joined us from around the world. This is truly an impressive gathering. And when you leave here, I hope that you leave here refreshed. I hope that you leave here invigorated. I hope that you leave here recharged to go back and do the work that you do every day that helps us invest in healthy communities, healthy classrooms, and a better society. So thank you for being here at UNC Asheville. I thank you for the work that you do and congratulate you on your continued success. And I'm just so honored to have such a group here. And I'm excited to hear our keynote. And this is important work. STACEY is a new director here for the Center for Health and Wellness. And I can't wait to see what happens next under STACEY's leadership. We are privileged to have her here, and I hope that you will all be a part of the continued work of the center and that we continue this deep and important partnership, Artie, with you. So thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you. Nathan Horne. No? Okay. There's been a change in our format. We would like, I would like to introduce Alec O'Brien right here. He has spent the entire day snapping pictures and getting your thoughts. And we have this video montage of the 2015 National PE Institute. Take it away, Alex.
Check, test 1, 2.
What do you want your students to know when they leave your quality physical education class? Let's go straight to the experts for the answer.
At the end of the year, I want my kids to know how to live an active and healthy lifestyle.
Enjoying the ability to play and to move and exercise and learn all the components that go along with that, along with eating healthy.
I want them to care and I want them to be passionate about what they do.
My biggest concern is that when kids leave our program at our schools, that they love and enjoy exercise and we're going to put it into their daily lives.
At the end of the year, I would like my students to know foundational knowledge of how to play sports and games so that they're prepared when they go into middle school.
I want my students to really totally feel the social side of physical education, of movement, of dance, so that they can feel connected with their fellow students. Not just be in the same room, but actually feel connected.
I want my students to walk out of my gym, out of our school, as cooperative, yet competitive, so that they can succeed in the real world out there and just be able to get along with others.
I want them to be able to go to the YMCA and play a sport, and when they get out of high school, I want them to be able to be lifelong PE people, so they'll live a long, healthy lifestyle.
Love it.
She just took my answer. I'm a PE teacher in high school, and that's what we want them to be, active throughout their whole life. And if you lose your health, you lose everything.
Mental, physical, social well-being, critical thinking skills, collaborative skills, and most importantly, a lifetime pursuit of excellence in their personal life that will lead into their professional life when they're older.
I want them to know how to have fun in whatever environment they're going to be in and how to look after themselves for the rest of their lives.
I want them to know that they can be physically active and healthy for the rest of their lives.
Excellent.
It's just the start, not the beginning. So literally, when they leave, that is the start of the journey to lifelong happiness and healthy activity.
Okay, I'd like them to know that they all have superpowers and they have to find their own superpowers. And that there's no right answer to everything and there are multiple ways of doing things.
I think it's so important for kids to understand is that they have that confidence, they can go out and try new skills and take risks and just enjoy moving throughout their lifetime. And the biggest thing is that their learning doesn't end when they leave our school, that doesn't end when they leave our gym. They're going to keep learning throughout their lifetime, and that's great, and that's what's important.
When my students leave my physical education class,
I want them to know that the decisions they make now, healthy or unhealthy, will affect them down the road. And hopefully I can promote the healthier decisions.
They can accomplish any level of health and fitness that is really possible for them based on their unique body type.
I want my students to be lifelong learners and movers and enjoy being outside in all activities.
Excellent.
When my students leave my class, I'd like them to know that they can be successful no matter what they try.
Excellent, thanks.
I would like my students to know and to love fitness and realize that fitness is fun.
My ultimate goal for the kids that leave my classroom is to take some part of physical education and integrate it into their lives.
Feeling comfortable participating in different kinds of physical activities and sports.
I want my students to have knowledge and attitudes that they will be healthy, active learners for the rest of their lives.
I want my students to know that they are successful in everything that they do.
What I want my college students to know, my future physical education teachers, is that physical activity is where it's at, and we've got to get kids excited about physical activity and their own health.
So when kids leave, I just want them to have a love of being active and just for the rest of their life, just basically be happy and be active and be outside and just moving.
Suffering, succotash. Well, there you have it, folks. Those are the takeaways from quality physical education. From the National PE Institute, I'm Alex O'Brien. Back to you, Artie.
Woohoo! Done good. You done good. So, if you happen to see Alex around tomorrow or the day after, smile. You may be on international TV. We're going to now set up Nathan Horne, and as Nathan's setting up, I'd just like to do a little short intro. So Nathan Horne is not from North Carolina. He's not from the United States. He grew up on an island. That island is called Tasmania. And he's currently teaching in Singapore. And he is the one of the most socially and technology-driven physical education teachers in the world. His ability to take technology and use it in a meaningful way in gyms, in the classroom, is just phenomenal. And so, without further ado, we'd like to introduce Mr. Nathan Horne from Singapore.
Buddy. Thanks for coming. Thanks so much. You're welcome. All right, can everyone hear me? Is it working? Good. All right, here we go. It's been a long day. I'm so happy to see everyone. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm going to try and do my best to share with you the journey that I've been on over the last, I was going to say 10 years because that's how long I've been teaching, but actually it's 31 years because that's how long I've been alive. And it started right from the start. So I want to talk to you about change, because change is something that is a little bit uncomfortable to some people and can be quite challenging. But I'm going to challenge each and every one of you who are here today to think about change and think about the challenge of change and how you might change some of the things that you do in your life and that you do with your students. Make sure this is on. All right, so change is coming, and I'm setting this challenge to you. Change is not easy, and change is a challenge, but I want to challenge you to think about change. Before we talk more about it, here are some of the change factors that, when we're thinking about change, these are things that influence whether we change or whether we don't change. So things like physical environment, the community that you're in, whether you're isolated, whether you have contact. There's lots of things there, lots of big words that might influence whether or not you choose to make a change. But there's one thing that supersedes all this, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later. Before I do, I want to introduce you to somebody. And you might know someone who's like this. This guy's called Mr. D, okay? And I just want you to meet Mr. D. And sound's not working? Good. Technology. We'll go back.
My degree is in physical education, which is what we call it, kinesiology, because that's what I studied in university. We learn anatomy, we learn physiology, we take the same courses as doctors. They cure people, we prevent you from getting injured and sick. They just make a lot more money.
Do we still get to play floor hockey?
Yes, we get to play floor hockey and lots of fun things, but first we have to do some fitness testing. I need to see what kind of shape you're in. I don't care in phys ed how smart you are, because if you're a dead smart person, who cares? You need to stay healthy. So we're gonna do some testing.
All right, so I think probably we all know someone like that, or we've been that person. I know I was maybe not that extreme, but I know that for me, fitness testing was something that was really important. And we'll come back to Mr. D later and we'll see his journey of change. So when we think about physical education, often the words that are associated with it are things like sport and games. But there's a big, big difference between sport and games and physical education. Anybody can play a sport, anybody can play a game. But physical education is something that is so vitally important that it's done in the right way so that our students can achieve. So we need to think more about, when we think about physical education, not just sport and games. I recently Googled PE teacher, and this is what came up. Take a look at those pictures. There's a lot of stereotypes there. There's a lot of short shorts, whistles, headbands. And why is it so? Why does this stereotype exist? And it's probably because of the history of what physical education may have been in the past, that this stereotype continues to be around today. Anyone can roll out a ball, like I said, and play. And that covers the physical aspect. But I want to challenge you today to think about the educational aspect of physical education. Get kids' brains moving and shaking. That's the important part. Like the Chancellor said before, JFK was a really big advocate of physical fitness. And if we look at physical education as it sort of exists today, the whole idea of physical education back in the early 1940s, 50s, 60s was getting the population strong for military service. So the idea of physical education was making sure that we had a strong, healthy population should there be a war, and we can send them away. And the problem is that that model sort of continued to manifest itself throughout time. And as the world changed, unfortunately, maybe the practices and the things that were happening within physical education classes didn't change. Let's go back to Mr. D. They were talking about floor hockey. Thanks, Alex.
Anthony, 9-6.
All right, guys, one more goal, we win.
No, it's up to 15.
You said it was up to 10.
I changed it to 15. Pay attention. Give me the ball. Give me the ball, Anthony. No, give Cameron. Give me the ball. Cameron. That's why I asked for the ball. Delay game. Hurry up. Delay game. Come on, that's delay game.
Alex. Alex.
Let's go. Hurry up. That's delay game. Get in the way. Where'd the ball go? Find the ball. Where's the ball? Thunder him. Get up. There we go. I got it. Yeah! Get up, Alex. Come on, Alex. Come on, Alex. Alex, why'd you give him a suicide pass? Alex, hey, buddy. You there? You know you ran into me, right? I was just standing my ground there.
All right, 9-8, let's keep playing.
He's out. Can't keep playing. The game's over. We win.
Why do you win?
Because you lost the player, so we win. Hey, just hit my goal. Don't tell me you blacked out before that.
All right, so, we've probably all seen lessons that look a little bit like that, and as physical educators, we inherently have this competitive streak within us that whenever there's a game, we want to be a part of it and we want to win. And so you can see that, that's not physical education. what you just saw. That's games, that's playing. Okay, so let's think about how we can change, because a change needs to happen. Here are a lot of quotes that I found. The most dangerous phrase is, "We've always done it this way." What you allow is what will continue. Change is inevitable. Progress is optional. I'm here today to tell you progress is not optional for us as physical educators. It's mandatory. We must think about how we can change, and we must think about making that positive change for our students.
We are living through an educational revolution. The pace of change is staggering. Schools, regions, entire countries are turning education on its head and redefining the experiences of students and of teachers. The impact is felt by millions of children and their families around the world. Let's consider for a moment the world in which they live. A world with so much knowledge it's hard to grasp. People are creating 2,000 new websites every hour. They are uploading 35 hours of video every minute and watching 2 billion YouTube videos every day. By the time they leave school, teenagers average nearly 1,000 Facebook friends. They connect with people thousands of miles away as if they were in the same room. They consume, produce, and communicate information in previously unimaginable ways. They truly are the children of a globalized world. And where are they heading as they grow up? To a hyper-connected world with more people and fewer resources. A busy and competitive world full of uncertainties. A workforce that is more mobile and better qualified than ever before. And careers that span multiple jobs, positions and skill sets, some of which haven't been invented yet. In response, education leaders are making big changes, building 21st century skills, using enabling technologies, and personalising learning to engage students in diverse and creative ways.
So you can see that the world's changing, and the experience that our students have every day in their life has changed significantly from even when I was younger. So we need to change with them. And the thing is, I'm looking around this room and I know that every single person in here, you're here on your holidays. So you are the change makers already. And what we need to do is we need to go away from this and we need to share this message with all of those other people that are not here. Because they're the people that we need to show how change can happen. We know about physical literacy. It's a really buzzword right now. And we know that we want our students to be confident and competent in multiple environments. We want them to think about things like strategies and tactics. We can't simply be happy with having our students perform discrete skills. Can you bounce a basketball? Can you kick a soccer ball? Where are they going to use those skills if they don't have the confidence and the competence to be able to use those in an environment where they're going to be successful? I want to share my physical education journey with you from when I was a child until today. I'm from Tasmania, which is part of Australia. I do speak a little bit funny like Jared, and that's it. So it's an island state south of Australia, and we're famous for the Tasmanian devil. Except our Tasmanian devils don't really look like that. They sort of look like this. Beautiful place. If you get the chance to go there, please do. So this is where I started. This is where I was born and where I grew up. And I loved sports, I loved being active, and I loved getting outside. This is my first ever sports day, athletic carnival. I came third in this race. I still have the sticker. I was obsessed with any sort of sport. Didn't matter what it was, didn't matter where it was. All I wanted to do was be a part of it. I wanted to compete. And like any kid, I wanted to win. And unfortunately, I was that kid in your class who was super competitive, who couldn't take losing. You can see some of the things there, like some good teacher things there, like it's good to see that his sporting attitude is improving. So yeah, I was that kid. It continues, very competitive, becoming more mature in his attitude towards others in team games. It's understanding sportsmanship, fair play, beginning to understand that winning is not everything in life. So yeah, I was that kid in your class that caused a lot of problems, but you know, I needed to go through that to understand myself and to grow. The one thing that I was most passionate about was Australian rules football. I absolutely loved it. Every training 4 to 5 times a week, playing 2-3 games on a weekend, playing in my age group, playing against men who were 2 and 3 times my age. I played tennis, I surfed, I played cricket, I did everything. My parents must have hated their weekends because it was just taking me to the different places that I wanted to go along with my brother and sister. So it was only natural that after I finished high school and I went to university that I would continue on this path of sports or being active. So I went to the University of Tasmania and I studied a Bachelor of Human Movement in Physical Education. And while I was there, I learned a lot of things. Game sense, teaching games for understanding, understanding by design, pedagogy, sport, ed, inquiry, all of these things. And I would like to say that the University of Tasmania made me the physical educator that I am today. And they played their part, but I probably spent a little bit too much time enjoying the other side of university than actually studying. But it was this experience in being here and being introduced to these ideas that I now look back and think, okay, like, yeah, I did actually get a lot out of that. They introduced me to these ideas, and at the time, I probably wasn't ready. It was like Max said last night, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. He's like, you can't give it till you've got it. And I didn't have it then. And now I understand, and I am able to give that. So like, that was an amazing thing that you said last night, so thank you very much. So I had this experience and got my degree, Bachelor of Human Movement, and off I went with 3 of my friends, and we moved to London in the United Kingdom for an adventure. And we started supply teaching, and I taught at a variety of schools from kindergarten to grade 12, a variety of subjects, and very little PE, which at the time really upset me and annoyed me, but I look back now and think it was one of the best things that I ever did. I ended up for 2 years at a special needs school for children with emotional, behaviour and learning disabilities. And I was teaching grade 9 and 10, and I was teaching everything: English, maths, science, geography, history. And they were probably operating at about a grade 5 level. One of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. So you can see these different experiences are starting to make me think about myself, my teaching, and how I can change. After the UK, I moved to Cambodia, Phnom Penh, where I taught, again, middle school, high school, geography and history. And it was at this time when the PE teacher left over the Christmas break due to some personal issues that I was asked to take on PE. But I already had a full timetable. So then they added the PE to it as well. So I can say that although this was my first time teaching PE after university, it probably wasn't my finest time as a PE teacher. I had very small class sizes. One class I think I had four kids, which is very difficult to play anything with 4 kids. Didn't have any resources in a very limited space. So for me at that point, like, I wasn't that passionate about PE at that point. I was more passionate about the other things that I'd learnt in my other schools. After Cambodia, I moved to Milan, Italy. And it was here that the change started to occur because, like Max said, I was starting to get it, and I was ready. I was ready to give to my students. And I had a lot of professional development opportunities at this school. It was an international baccalaureate school, and I was really lucky that they sent me on a lot of different professional development opportunities. And there was one other thing that happened there, was I met my wife at this school. And we got married 2 weeks ago. Thank you. She's very understanding to let me come all the way over here just shortly after we got married. But Alison taught me something that I didn't have in my teaching, and that was passion. The passion that she has for early years education was infectious. Her belief that children from a very young age, 3 and 4 years old, have the inherent ability to be able to understand, to create their own learning, and to be active participants in what's going on around them, showed me that within physical education, the same thing could happen. That if a 4-year-old, if she could have conversations with 4-year-olds about how they would like to learn, that I could do the same thing in PE. So the passion that she had sort of came across to me, and that was the first part of my change, that I regained the passion that I had for physical education, because I'd had about 5 or 6 years out of physical education and I'd lost that passion. Being here in this school for the first time as a 100% PE teacher, meeting my wife and having that passion was the first step in my journey to change. After our time in Milan, we moved on and we went to Singapore, where currently we've been there for 3 years, working at an amazing school, ISS International School, and I thank them for allowing me to even be here right now, because I should actually be back at work. We were starting actually tomorrow or the next day. I should be there, so I thank them for allowing me to come. They've been super supportive of all of the things that I'm trying to do within PE. There's me and one other part-time PE teacher at the school, and our freedom of practice and the opportunities that the school has provided me to be able to try things that previously I hadn't had the opportunity to do has also enabled me to think about PE in a different way. So that's my school, that's my gym, it's outdoors. And if anyone's ever been to Singapore, it's about 38 degrees and 95% humidity all day, every day of the year. So my kids are outside, I'm outside all day. It's hot, it's really hot. But it's good fun, and although I don't have a fancy gym, I'm still able to do a lot of different things. And actually, probably not having a lot of equipment and not having a fantastic facility has forced me to be really innovative and to try all these different things. I don't have a basketball court where I can just, wheel out the equipment and, you get stuck in these routines. So currently I'm the head of educational enrichment at the school. I teach pre-K to grade 5 PE. I coordinate the after-school activities, and most importantly, I'm the fire marshal. So I wear many hats. I'm very busy. My journey to change really probably took off when I was thinking about how all of these different experiences had left an impact on me. So whether it was my university time, whether it was my time in the UK, all of these things gave me a perspective, a different perspective on things. And it's really easy for me, like coming from Tasmania, it's a very small place. There's about 400,000 people in the space of England. So it's quite close and quite insular. So it's really easy to get caught in the same ways of thinking and doing the same things again. And traveling and meeting all these different people really gave me a perspective on what the world's like and how different people do things. So that was another really important thing to me, was passion and perspective. So here I was teaching and I was feeling pretty good about myself, but I know, like a lot of people, when you're on your own, and most of my jobs have been on my own, you can feel pretty small and disconnected. So I was thinking, what can I do? How can I feel a bit like more connected to other people? I can't just go into the staff room and have a conversation with another PE teacher because there wasn't one. So I went to the internet and I started Googling to try and get some ideas. And there's lots of stuff out there, but it just wasn't really, you can scroll through pages and pages and pages of Google and you might find some good stuff, but you don't know. So somebody suggested Twitter, and it was the best thing that I ever did. That was the first tweet I ever sent. Once I was on Twitter, I connected with a heap of people that are in this room. And by connecting with them, I started to see all these possibilities for what I could possibly do in my classes. I was getting ideas from Jared and from Andy and from all of these different people all around the world. I was thinking, I could try that. Or actually, I could use that and I could change it a little bit. And it was really the one thing that opened my eyes up to the possibility. And one of the first people I connected with was Jared, who you heard from this morning. And what I got from Jared originally, this is probably 2010 maybe, 2011. Jared was at that time creating a heap of apps. And if there's ever something you thought you wished you could do in your PE classes, Jared would just create that and make it. And I remember contacting him and asking him about his Easy Portfolio app and how I could use it. And straight away he got back to me and we started this conversation. Now previously that wasn't possible for me because I was so isolated. So he has all of these apps, he has these new, he's gone away from, I guess, mobile apps a little bit, and his new things like Sports Tracker and Vitalize, which are web-based things. And I talked earlier in my, one of my sessions earlier about technology. And at this time, I was really just focused on apps. Apps. What app can I use for this? What app can I use for that? And like, I went to Jared because he was at that time the guru of creating all of these apps. And I thank him so much for everything that he did. But it wasn't until I started to connect with Ash that I started to see technology more as a tool. Because it's really easy to see technology as this shiny toy that you can use. But to use it as a tool is so much more powerful. And one of the quotes that I remember him sharing with me once was that a lot of teachers put the technology that they have before the pedagogy of what they're actually doing. And we need to flip that. We need to think about pedagogy before we think about technology. So now I had access to this technology, and I was starting to think about it as a tool. So I thought about these 4 things when I was using technology about how I could use it. What's the most effective way for me and my students to achieve the outcome, the desired outcome? Could technology help me to do that? Were there any barriers that existed that prevented me or my students from achieving an outcome? Could technology help them to do that? How could I provide maximum activity time to my students when I only saw them for such a short period of time? Could technology help me do that? And how can I ensure that I provide opportunity for all students to reflect on their learning? So I thought about all of these 4 things. Anytime I wanted to use technology in my teaching, I thought, okay, it needs to meet these 4 things before I think about using it. So as you can see, my philosophy and my thinking is starting to change. So I talked about earlier today 4 C's of using technology in physical education. And I like to think of it as in 4 ways. So you've got creating, collecting, celebrating, and connecting. So now I was thinking about technology as a tool. I was thinking, how can I use it in my classes? One of the ways that I used it was through CoachNote. And I talked about those 4 questions. So I shared in my session earlier about a student that I had that he's one of those students that would never answer a question, would never share anything that he knew, didn't really like to participate, would be that kid that never touched the ball in a game. But through the use of this tool, he was able to explain to me attacking strategy, defensive strategy, teamwork, cooperation by using this technology tool. So previously I had no idea whether this student understood or he didn't understand. And through the use of technology, I was able to break down that barrier and help him to show me what he knew. I want to introduce you to one of my students. He's 4 years old. His name's Denzel. And again, here's another way that we can break down barriers with technology. So Denzel's going to explain to you about throwing for accuracy.
Okay, good job, Denzel. All right, so in this photograph, what are you doing?
Throwing the basketball into the basket.
Throwing the basketball into the basket. Can you draw a line showing me where you're throwing it? Where you're throwing it. So you're throwing it in this direction, so there's an arrow there. Okay, so we're throwing it in this direction. Okay, let's use a different color now. And can you draw for me a line? Show me where are your eyes looking? Show me where your eyes are looking. Try again. They're looking where? Into here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are they looking into the basket?
Because if I don't look in the basket, it's not gonna go in the basket.
Yeah. So you need to look at where you want to throw.
So you can see the barriers that were broken down there in terms of how I was able to assess what he knew and what he could do. Because I could see that he could throw a ball into the hoop, but I didn't understand, I didn't know whether he knew what it was that he was actually doing to be able to do that. I was able to share that with his parents. They were able to see it, and it just became such an amazing form of assessment and for celebrating his knowledge. He's 4 years old. You could see he couldn't even spell his name. So I can't ask him to write down what he knows. So I broke that barrier down by using that tool. Jared also mentioned this morning video as one of the superpowers, and again, Students being able to see what they're doing and reflect on it. This is one of the 4 things I talked about before, enabling students, all students, to be able to reflect on their learning, because you don't learn by doing something. You learn by reflecting on what you've done. So it's not, you can't just do it, you have to think about what it is that you've done for any learning to take place. So video plays an important part in that. The next person that really influenced me and made me change was one of my good friends in Singapore, Colin Gallagher. He's the author of a book called Minecraft in the Classroom, and he's done some amazing work with Minecraft and with sharing online. And the thing that he got me to do was to write down my ideas and to start blogging. And the first step in doing that was for us to have a school blog for our PE program. So through this blog, I was able to share some of those things that you saw with parents. So they were then getting a window into what their students were doing. Their students were coming home at the end of the day. What did you do at school today? Nothing. Well, that's not true, because I saw on your PE blog that you were doing this. So this was the first step in me starting to think about sharing ideas. And once I saw how easy it was to start blogging, I thought, well, maybe I could start my own blog. And similar to Andy and Joe that we were talking about this morning, was just as a reflection tool. So I started iphysed.com. Not because I wanted to share my ideas with anyone, just because I wanted to write them down. Because for me, to be able to reflect on what I'm doing, like I said, you have to reflect to be able to learn. So for me, the best way for me to reflect is to write ideas down. And I started writing my ideas down, I started changing my ideas, and then I started sharing those ideas with people, and people started giving me feedback. So my journey's going along. Then I met this guy over here, Joey Fife. He's a magician. And when I met him, one of the things that really drew me to him was what he called phys ed hacks. And what he meant by that was minimizing the time it takes for you to do things so that you can spend more time with your students, assessing, being a part of what they're doing. And one of the hacks that, like Jared shared earlier this morning, was his QR code sheets, which I know a lot of people have used and are an amazing resource. So, like Jared said, simply by scanning that QR code, you're able to duplicate yourself as the teacher. So now no longer was I having to show the kids how to do something. I could send the kids out with the iPads, they could do it, I could stand back and watch, and then give kids individual tips and help. But it wasn't just his QR code sheets. It was all of the other things that he was sharing on his blog. He really inspired me to think about the what, why, and how of what I was doing in my classes. We're really lucky that we get to collaborate on the Phys Ed podcast. It's quite difficult to do when he's in Montreal and I'm in Singapore, and there's a 12-hour time difference, but we try our best to do it, and we're hopefully going to record a live episode here at some point this week, and we'd love for anyone who wants to be involved to come and share their ideas with us. We'll probably do it back at the hotel. So again, this is a form of reflection. So not only am I writing down what I'm learning, I'm speaking with somebody else about it, and we're having these conversations. He also introduced me to the idea of professional learning being not just like Jared said this morning, not just something that happens here, but is ongoing. And to keep your fire burning all throughout the year. So I'm starting to connect with all these people, and I'm sort of taking bits and pieces from all of them, which is, I think, the most amazing part of this community, is there are experts in so many different areas. And you can take a bit from here, a bit from there, a bit from here, to make yourself a better educator. The next two people that I connected with were Adam and Naomi. And it was really them who started to make me see the possibilities of branching those connections even further. And their phys pedagogy team and their amazing phys ed summits, which really just flipped that whole idea of having that professional learning be ongoing on its head. No longer do you have to go somewhere to do it. It comes to you. And I know they're having their phys ed camp tomorrow, and I'm super excited for that as well. The next guy who really dropped the hammer on me was Andy Vasily. His blog, PYP with Andy, if you haven't been to it, even if you're not a teacher who teaches in that area, just go to it, because the things that he shares on there are absolutely incredible. He's so honest, he's so open, and he's so willing to share. I don't think there's anybody in the PE community online who is more willing to share than this guy and more willing to actually care about you, your students, even though he may never have met you before. So I remember when I first contacted Andy, I saw on his website about the idea of a sportfolio and collecting evidence of student learning. So I sent him an email and said, hey Andy, I'm thinking about doing this, can you give me some tips? Within an hour I had a response. This is originally what one of my portfolio pieces looked like. Looks beautiful, beautiful drawing. My strengths are I'm good at racing. I'd like to get better at jumping. Okay, it's not too bad. But I thought, it doesn't really show me what that student can do, what they know, or how they've come to understand that knowledge. So I thought, it's got to be something better than that. So I started to use the iPads that I had and Google Drive to collect videos and photos, media rich. So currently, my students have access to 6 iPads in their class. They can go onto the iPad, open up their class folder, open up their individual folder, and then they can save into that folder photos, videos, any of the work that they've done in PE. I have access to all of that. So now I can see everything that my students are doing. The power of Google Drive means that they can share that with their parents, their grandparents, anybody. I thought, you know, it's good to have it, but it wasn't a really easy way for people to access that information. So at the school we have digital portfolios for everything that the kids do, and we added the PE section to it, and then they took all of the things that they had collected in that folder and put into their portfolio. So now their learning was visible. Anybody could see their journey from the start of the year to the end of the year of what they're doing. And anyone who came to my session this morning saw a little bit more about how we did that. We also use Twitter and Vine to share quick videos with our parents. So again, it's that window into your class. Because I was talking to somebody at lunchtime about it, is our parents' generation's experience of PE is very different than what PE is like today. So when you ask them, what do you think happens in a PE class? Their answers are going to be very different to what it actually looks like today. So giving them that window into your class really enables them to see all of the meaningful things that are taking place. One of the things that Andy shared with me is this quote, and we learn more by looking for the answer to a question and not finding it than we do from learning the answer itself, and I think that's really important. It's about the journey towards learning. I can tell a kid how to bounce a basketball, but it's not really going to stick with them unless they try it and they fail, and they try it and they fail again, and they try it and they fail, and they start to think about, well, what do I need to do to make sure that I can do that? So failure is actually really important. First attempt in learning. So Andy had his inquiry cycles. I started to think about inquiry cycles. I use these with my students to help them create their curriculum. They drive what it is that we learn. We have our outcomes. We know that we need to get there, but they help me to get there through the use of these inquiry cycles. And I want you to think about right now, do your students spend more time making choices in your classes, or do they spend more time following directions? Because if you're just giving instruction for the whole class, your students are not going to be learning very much. You need to give them the option to make choices about what they want to do and how they want to do it. Like I said before, we don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. So give your students the opportunity to think about what they've done. This is a really fantastic thing that I found earlier in the year by a guy called Peter Pappas, who's a professor in Oregon, I think. His taxonomy of reflection. And I use this a lot with my kids right now, and it makes it really easy for them to think about how they can reflect meaningfully on what they've done. And it starts at the bottom with remembering, what did I do? If you can't remember what you did, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually reflect on what's happening. But this tool has really helped my students to think more deeply about what it is that they're doing in physical education. Here's an example of one of my students and her reflection. She's a grade 5 student, and this is her reflection on swimming. So if I'd have asked her, just, okay, can you write me a reflection on what you learnt in swimming? She may have come up with 2 or 3 lines. In swimming, I learned how to do freestyle and backstroke, and it was fun. Through the use of this tool, you can see the amount of reflection that she did, and now I can read that, and it's assessment for me, and I can really see what she learnt during that unit. Let's go back to Mr. D. So I was starting to, you can see that I changed the way that I was teaching. Let's see if Mr. D has changed very much.
So we're going to do some testing. We're going to do 3 things today. We're going to do sit and reach to test your flexibility. We're going to do the beep test, one of my favorites, and the flexed arm hang, which I will demonstrate. Lucy's going to record the times. All right, what's going to happen is this. You're going to stand on the chair to get yourself to this level. Once you pull yourself to eye level, we pull the chair away. Okay, Lucy, when I say, all right, pull the chair away. Now that's eye level. That's not eye level. That's not eye level. Right here. And you hold it. And you fight it. And you fight it. You fight it like a mother. You fight it. You fight the pain. Because there's pain right now. Like a lot of pain. Fight the pain. And then, how long was that? How long? Who timed it? Who timed it? No one timed it. Gotta time it. Always time it. Okay? I will be timing yours. Write down 60 seconds. I think that's how long I go. We'll go with that. Okay? Let's see how we do. Let's go. Who's first on the list?
Cameron.
Come on up, Cameron. Let's get the stopwatch ready. You will pull yourself up. Once you are at eye level, I will pull the chair away, and we'll see how long you do. Stay up there as long as you can. Cameron, I need you to fight the pain you feel in your arms. You need to push yourselves. Ready? Go. Okay, okay? 0.2 seconds.
Should I round it up to 1 second?
No, we don't round up 0.2. You round 0.2 down, which I'm not gonna do. All right, Tanya, come on up. Listen. Don't get discouraged. We're gonna keep this positive. You will be my project while I'm here. We will fix this. All right. Let's do better than 0.2 seconds.
All right, so it's all well and good for me to tell you about how I've changed and how all of my experiences and all of my encounters with these people has helped me to change, but I want to give you a concrete example. Because my fitness testing, although it probably wasn't that bad, didn't look too far away from that. Beep test, sit-ups, sit and reach, all of those things that we just do in fitness testing because that's the way it's always been done. But this year, I thought I want to do it a little bit differently because I thought, who am I doing this fitness testing for? The kids didn't care. I wasn't really looking at the data. So like, what was the point in doing it? So I really thought about, like Joey said, the what, why, and how of what I was doing. And I looked at the main idea that being active contributes to good health and well-being. And I thought, okay, let's break that down a little bit further, and what do I want my actual students to be able to do? I want them to understand the effect of exercise on the body. I wanted them to know about the benefits of being active and healthy. And I wanted them to identify realistic goals to improve their well-being. And that was the important one, identifying realistic goals to improve their well-being. Because everyone's success criteria is different. And that's the really important message that I want to give you right now, is everyone's success criteria is different. So what I did was I introduced the idea of a fitness improvement plan to my students. And we talked about the different components of fitness, whether it was a skill-based component or a more physical-based component. And I asked them to think about which of those components would they like to improve. And I said, you can choose whatever you want. I said, maybe only choose 1 or 2 though, because it's going to be quite difficult if you say you want to improve them all. So they chose 1 or 2 different components of fitness, and I asked them, why would you like to improve that? Why did you choose that one? How will you know you have improved? And this was a really interesting question because some of the answers the kids gave me I never saw coming. I'll know I'm faster because I'll be able to feel the wind in my face. When they first said it, I was like, okay. But then I thought, well, no, if they can quantify that, if they actually can feel the wind in their face faster, that's great. They know that they've improved. And that's not some test that I had to do. That's just them understanding that they've improved. To improve, I will. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to improve? And the resources that I need to do this are. So they filled this in. We had a conversation about it, and off they went. Here are some of my students completing. Yep. completing their fitness improvement plans. This is a grade 5 class.
We've got the grade 5s here.
21 kids.
Individual fitness improvement plans. They've identified some different areas of fitness that they'd like to improve, and they're working independently on it. And actually, at the moment, is looking at components of fitness and just coming up with what she'd like to do. So we've got some students working on skill components, looking at how they can improve their skills. Other people working on physical components.
So you can see every single kid in the class is engaged in some sort of meaningful activity and meaningful learning. It's not like that Mr. D session you saw where everyone's sitting around while one person does the pull-ups. Everybody's doing something and they're all doing something that they want to do. Nobody's doing anything because I told them to. They made the choice to do these things. We've got kids working on speed. We've got kids working on their shooting accuracy. We've got kids working on agility. This went for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Carl, what is it?
They went for about 4 or 5 weeks of them just independently doing it. And I was just there to support. If they needed help, they could come and ask me. I didn't tell them to do anything. I was just there to support, and it worked so well. On their reflections that they did afterwards, almost to a T, every single one of those kids said that outside of school, they continued to try and improve the thing that they said they wanted to improve, and that after they were finished, they were still going to try and improve further. Now, in my old way of doing a fitness unit, that would never happen. No kid went home and said, I'm going to go home and do the beep test, or I'm going to go home and try and do 100 push-ups because I want to improve at that. So giving them the choice about what they wanted to learn enabled them to take some ownership over their learning. And it was through all of those connections that I said to you before that put me in that mindset that that was okay. Because previously, when I was on my own, I thought, no, I have to do it this way. But seeing how other people did things, taking ideas from different people, enabled me to do that. And I think Mr. D's starting to get it as well. He's starting to see that everyone has a different success criteria.
There you are, Cameron. All right. You're early, getting ready, stretching. Good to see. So we're going to beat that score.
Awesome. I was practicing at home, so, you know, getting ready.
Perfect. All right. So I want you to get up there.
Okay.
I want you to fight the pain you're feeling, and I need you to stay up there longer than 0.2 seconds. Okay? We're going to believe in ourselves. We're going to be confident. We're going to get into a better shape. That's what we're going to do. It starts today. Okay?
Okay. You got your stopwatch ready?
I got my stopwatch ready. All right, we're going to beat 0.2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull the chair, you pull yourself up, and I know you're going to do well. And you believe that. And you don't quit. And you don't come down early. And you fight it. There's a little bit of pain, so what? You fight the pain. Do you understand me, Cameron?
All right.
Ready? I'm excited to see this. Here we go. Ready? And go! Hold the chair. Okay. 0.3 seconds.
Awesome. Yes.
0.3. Hey, that's a 33% improvement, right? So there you go. All that practice paid off. Good for you.
You know, I can stand on one leg for a really long time, sir.
Say that again?
I can stand on one leg for a really long time. You want to see?
Why wouldn't I want to see that? Wow, look at that. Look at that. Oh, well, now you're kind of cheating. You're holding on there, so that's...
Not really.
Look at that. A pelican.
See you, sir.
See you later, Cameron.
So, Mr. D still has a little way to go on his journey, but he's starting to get there. He's starting to see that every student has a different success criteria. Jerry D, the actor who plays Mr. D, actually, I tweeted him the other day and told him I was going to be sharing this with everyone here today, and he had a message for everyone. He said, teach hard, so thanks to him for that. So I want to recap my journey. And like as you saw, I was that brat of a kid in your class who had to win at all costs and was causing problems because of my competitiveness. But as I grew and as I matured, I changed my attitude because of people that I met. And I talked earlier about these change factors, but I told you that All of these things are important. Whether it's your physical environment, your access to equipment, your community, the value of PE within that community, whether you're isolated, whether you have people to connect with, your personal attitudes, values, your access to technology, it's all important. All of those things play a part in you changing the way that you teach and the way that you think about physical education. But there's one thing that really makes a difference. That's people. It's the people that you meet on your journey, the things that you take from them, the things that they give you, and the relationships that you build that are going to enable you to really make significant change for your students. And that's why we're all here. This journey might have been about me and how I changed. But the important thing is that I changed for my students so that they could have a physical education experience that they deserved. Because previously I wasn't giving them that. We were playing games, we were having fun. But we weren't developing their physical literacy. We weren't developing a lifelong love of being active. We were just playing. So all of those people, and there's too many more to mention, but like I mentioned, meeting my wife and her passion for early years education was one of the first things that enabled me to change. Traveling the world and gaining perspective outside of what I knew. The technology that Jared and Ash introduced me to and made me see that it was a tool and not a toy. The inspiration that I gained from people like Joey and Andy. And then connecting with so many people and people in this room online really enabled me to just be better than I ever thought I could be as a physical educator. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy on not fighting the old, but building the new. And I'm challenging everyone in this room to go away from this conference and build something new in your phys ed program. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to change. But the change really is in the challenge. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to thank ARTIE so much for having us here. And just thank you so much. And really think about change, how you can make change. It might be a small change, it might be a big change, but just change one thing when you go away from this so that your students can have the physical education experience that they deserve. Thank you.
If everyone would please stand up just for a moment, take a little stretch, take a little break. Give the person on your left a handshake, please. Person on your right, a handshake. Join hands with the person on your right and your left. Join hands, person to the right and your left, like this. All join hands and circle right. Circle left, go the other way back. Go into the center with a hoop and a shout. Woo! And you come back out. Clap your hands. Pat your knees. Make your shoulders go up and down, up and down, up and down. Make them go forward, around and around, the other way back. Give yourselves a great big hug. Woo! Give a neighbor a great big hug. Woo! Give that other neighbor a great big hug. Woo! And sit down. Thank you very much. It is my honor and privilege to introduce two gentlemen that have been identified as the 2015 National PE Institute Legacy Award winners, and we would like to have Dr. Don Hellison and Dr. Daryl Seatentop, please, to come forward. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Stand right here. Okay. Don, thanks for coming. Thanks. As you see in the printed program, each of these individuals have dedicated their entire professional careers for making a change. And we have two individuals that would like to share a little bit about their own personal journey. And so I would like to bring Larry Satchwell. Would you please come forward? Charla Parker Krantz, would you please come forward? Charla, you could do it. You can do it. Dr. Hellison, Larry has been a long-time advocate for the work that you've been doing, and in appreciation of all of that. And Charla, same thing for you, Daryl, with your sport education model. So I'd like to have Larry, would you please share a little bit?
I would. I'm going to step up here. Once again this year, I have the privilege of introducing one of my heroes in the Legacy Awards. You can be seated. Dr. Don Hellison is a professor emeritus at School of Education at UIC. He spent 16 years in Portland University on the West Coast, and then was at University of Illinois for more than 20 years. My first encounter with Dr. Hellison was in 1974, a long time ago. I had transferred from Western Illinois University to Northern Illinois University the second semester of my senior year. I know, not real clever, but I was following a girl in my track and field career. I've since given up on the track and field career, but I'm still married to the same woman for 41 years. Thanks. I digress. At Western Illinois, I was a recreation major, and at Northern Illinois, there wasn't such a major, so I turned to physical education. One of my first classes there, Dr. Clifford Fulton assigned us to read Humanistic Physical Education by Don Hellison. Well, I was a good old United Methodist boy from down south, it's downstate, and I didn't want anything to do with humanism, and was appalled that I had to read it. And I really don't remember much about that class, except that that was the book we used. I went to Georgia, began teaching. I went to Georgia because I had better weather for track. And in 1991, George Graham and Peg Jones hosted the World Congress, a collaboration between researchers and practitioners in physical education, an international dialogue. I was really excited, but right before Don's presentation, Peg Jones pulled me aside and said, Larry, you're the practitioner here, and I want you to ask him a really good question after he's done, because there's going to be time for questions and answers. I really don't remember what I asked him, but when I'll never forget the look on Don's face. It was kind of a look of puzzlement and inquiry, like, what is this guy doing? I just sat down real quietly. I'm sure he answered it very eloquently, but I just wanted to leave the room. It was a great dialogue and a great conference. Don's worked with all over the world, presenting professional development sessions, explaining his personal and social responsibility for teachers. We're lucky enough to have him several times in Gwinnett County. Don's work for underserved kids is legendary. After he got out of the Marine Corps, he was a rookie professor and volunteered to teach a class of 53 city high school students, boys, who had flunked PE. He states in his book only half of them showed up on any given day, but I'll bet that half got a great lesson. I began using his levels of responsibility in the mid-90s, and it changed my world. As he states on page 20 in this 2003 printing, you become facilitator and gradually shifting power from yourself to the students until they're doing more and you're doing less. I found that when I became the facilitator, allowing my students to be responsible for their behavior and managing their own behavior, I had a lot more time to teach. When Artie asked me to introduce this, I was elated, went home and took the book off the shelf. I still have it, I just showed it to him. And I was amazed when I found myself reading my own teaching philosophy. There on page 4, and I'm going to paraphrase, reach your full potential. Have students reach their full potential. Each individual is unique. All of us must learn how we learn best and determine that ourselves. So there in that thing I didn't even remember was the foundation of my physical education career. Today he directs the Urban Youth Leadership Project for underserved children in Chicago. The role involves program development, delivery, and evaluation, as well as professional preparation and pre-service students. He's done this all over the world, including in New Zealand, England, and Spain. And in 1995, he was awarded the International Olympic Committee President's Prize in Lausanne, Switzerland. He's received numerous national awards and his recognition, and his book has been republished by Human Kinetics in 2011. In the epilogue of his 2003 book, he quotes Jackie Robinson, "Life is not important except in the fact that it impacts on others." Well, Don, I'm pleased, and you should be pleased, to consider yourself very important because you have impacted many, many lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Don Hellison. Thank you.
I don't know what to say after that. Thanks, Larry, very much for all your kind words. And I'm glad we got back together to talk some too. We need to do some more of that.
Your Legacy Award.
When Artie asked me today to introduce Dr. Darrell Siedentop, he knew how much that meant to me because I worked with Artie in Wake County, and he understands how much this truly, truly does mean for me to meet Mr. Siedentop for the first time. It is truly an honor. When you speak of change, as Nathan was talking about, I had been teaching for 15 years, and this was the year 2000. Yes, I'm that old. I had already won all the coaches awards I could do. I was throwing them in boxes: basketball, tennis, softball, swimming, district championships, state championships, 3 in different sports, and I played myself all those sports. I had done everything I could think of to do in my life, but I was missing something. I was teaching physical education. I'd been teaching 15 years at the time, but I was teaching with those people that just roll out the ball. I was so bored myself because how do you get the kids motivated if the teachers aren't motivated? Well, I myself, playing and coaching, I just loved what I did, but I couldn't figure out what to do. We didn't have Voxer and chats and Twitter and Facebook and all those kinds of things. We're talking about the year 2000. Were y'all born yet? Okay. So what happened was I accepted a grant. I had to write a piece of paper. No one had heard of me before. I was from a little town called Fairmont, North Carolina. And, I was working at a school at North Iredell, and that was in the foothills of North Carolina. And so I wrote a piece of paper. Why? Because I could get 50 heart rate monitors and 50 pedometers for our school. We'd never even heard of those before. So I did it to get that and $500 worth of equipment. Well, that changed my life because I joined a Pepsi grant, and that Pepsi grant, we learned about sport education. In order to get those things, I had to video my classes 20 days. So we did 2 weeks of basketball, working with Appalachian State University, videotaping 60 minutes every day, the entire class, going through all the seasons, learning how. And then we would go in the classroom. But when we went in the classroom, I found that the students continuously wanted to discuss it. This one kid on the third day of sport education, he had not participated the entire year. We are well into the semester. This is when we had it for the entire year. And he would not dress out. He laid on the floor every day. There's nothing I could do. There's nothing his parents could do. And the third day of sport education, all of a sudden, someone ran up to me and grabbed me. These are ninth graders. They're like, Miss Parker, Matt dressed out. He wants to do sport ed. He dressed out today. And of course, here comes someone else going, Miss Parker, he's got on jean shorts that are cut off. He can't play in those. It's like he can play in whatever he wants. So then Matt started playing. When we got down to the point of every day he participated, I found out teachers let me know that he was doing his work. He was actually doing all his schoolwork because of sport education. He was coming to school every day. He wanted to do better. I still let him wear the same shorts. The first day of our officiating, the kid blew the whistle on him for a foul. He fell down. He jumped up like, what are you going to do? I was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? I didn't know what was going to happen. The kid got up and shook the guy's hand and said, you know what? You're right. That's a good call. I did foul him. I knocked him down. And so, it's like the things that it's done for my life has been overwhelming. But what it does for the lives of those kids that it touches are the reasons for what I do. And I've told people today, I would love to talk with you about this. I put my things on my webpage. I don't charge anything for them. Go to my website. I work all the time with it. People go, well, you're retired. You're supposed to do nothing. Guess what? If you know me, you know I don't do nothing. So it went from changing my life with doing this 20-day unit to in the year 2000, keep in mind, guys, on the front row, we videotaped. When we went to the health classroom, my kids actually videoed. We went to the broadcasting class instead of health class, and they spliced together a videotape of sport education. And we took it to a school board in Iredell County, and we showed the school board what we were doing in our school. And Ari, if I need to stop, tell me. Then we went to the school. We wanted the whole school to know that we were doing something in physical education. So we did an integrated unit, and we asked the home economics class to make us some flags. The exceptional children's class read about the Olympics, and they made posters for us to put on the wall. And we did an Olympic ceremony with the kids. Over half the school came into the gym and watched us do their warm-ups and watched them participate in the sport ed. We made a videotape that the kids made themselves. They went through all 6 sections of sport education and made a video. That videotape got me to becoming a National Teacher of the Year because I took it and kept showing it to my classes. I started getting student teachers. Dr. Kimberly Bush, who went to Ohio State, came to see one of my student teachers. She said, you're doing sport education? Yes, I am. They started sending student teachers. Someone from NASB called and said, we understand you're using sport education and doing quite well with it. I'm using the tactical model. I'm using Hellison's model. can we come watch? They started sending teachers over to watch. I got invited to New York City to present at the CDC, met Mayor Bloomberg. Now we're talking about a kid from New York, from going to New York, by now I'm old, from Fairmont, North Carolina, going meeting the mayor of New York City. I was totally amazed. Then going on, working with ARTIE KAMIYA in Wake County, winning North Carolina Southern District National Teacher of the Year in 2013. Retired, and I am still working now to promote Dr. Seidentop's model of sport education. Yes, I have all of his books. Today is the first time meeting him, and it is truly an honor because it has changed my life. And I hope to continue working to spread the news of what he worked so hard for in 1990 to do. He is emeritus professor at Ohio State University. And he also continues his work now, and he has also been in education for the dean of Ohio State University. But the things that he's done for me are just hard to explain. But if you know me, you know that it's truly an honor, and change is wonderful because since that year 2000, my life changed, and I love teaching. I love using the sport education model, and thank you, Dr. Seidentop.
Thank you so much, so much. I started playing baseball and basketball, I think when I was like 2 years old. And I haven't stopped along the way. It has been my life. I have played it through schools and colleges and in professional kinds of programs and the like. And I'm still very happy in being involved with them because I'm not a kid anymore. I'm not sure how old, how old am I, honey? I'm 76 years old. And I'm still going, and I'm gonna keep going until I just move over. And it's been a great, my wife and I have come up here. We have a place here now, and we'll be going back and forth between the places where we played and the schools that I went to earlier. But it's been a great deal of fun. I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's hard for me to explain how deeply I want to be good at what I do, period. And I'm going to keep doing that as long as I can. Thank you.
I'm trying to think what day it is. Today's Monday. Is today Monday? We have a social tonight starting at 5:30, 7:30. If you need any additional details, please go up to the U.S. Games booth. We start bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:30. The shuttle through the Crown Plaza Hotel will be up there at 7 o'clock. Anything else that I've forgotten, Mr. McDonald? Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you tomorrow, or see you tonight. What? Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Son of a gun. Come over here. Aaron Hart. I'd like to introduce Aaron Hart from U.S. Games and the creator of Open, OPEN, Online Physical Education Network.
Thanks, everybody. I know we're all thirsty, so I really wanted to just take a couple of minutes to give the very first Open Award this year to Larry Satchwell, who you've already heard from. Really quickly, I just want to give you a couple of highlights. In 1975, he was a Division I All-American in track and field. Pretty cool. In the American Scottish Games, he also set a world record 4 times for the sheaf toss. Not the sheep toss, but the sheaf toss. In 1984, he was a part of a team that was presented with the Georgia Award for Excellence in Curriculum Design. And since 1980, Larry's been honored 11 times as a local, state, regional, and national Teacher of the Year, including the 1995 National Elementary Toy. He's done some pretty incredible things. So on May 27th of this year, I got an email from Larry, and he said, I see what you're trying to do with this open project. Would you like some content? I said, sure. So he sent me an email with over 100 pages of lessons. And they weren't just okay lessons. They were incredible lessons crafted over a career of excellence. And today he gave me this. Pretty awesome. Let's hear it for him. So Larry and I have been working together for a couple of months, and we're putting together the very first module that will be released, striking and volleying. It's going to come out in August. Approximately 3,000 teachers will receive that, and it's going to continue to grow. So it's with great honor that I give the very first Open Award to Larry Satchwell.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much. I really didn't expect this. You know, there's a lot of bandwagons you can jump on, and I looked back and sat back and watched Open come to life and wasn't really that impressed with it until I started reading it and started getting into it. And I really believe in what they're doing. Free and open content that you can manipulate yourself to meet your needs. And that's why I thought, you know, I've got this life of work here that I've retired and sitting on a shelf someplace. I think I'll share it. I know there's a lot of you sitting here that have nailed a lesson. You walk away and yeah, that lesson was good. Please consider sharing it with others so that we can benefit the kids of the United States. I mean, that's what it's all about, the kids. So if you've got a lesson, that's that. If you have a lesson that you nailed, send it in and say, look, you know, this is what I do. It works for me. Maybe it'll work for others. Thanks so much. Great to see you. Great to be at this conference, Artie. Thank you.
Class dismissed. See you later.